Hi Flosstube, welcome to my channel, Stitching with the Waves. I'm Jennifer and this is my third Flosstube video. If you are just finding me for the first time, welcome. I'm glad you found me. I hope you enjoy the stitching I have to show to you today. And if you've been watching me now, you've seen my first two videos and maybe you subscribed or commented or gave me a like or just watched even, thank you so much. I'm really loving making the videos and I really appreciate knowing people are out there watching them. It makes it a lot more fun to make when I know people are actually watching them and liking them and enjoying what I'm showing. So it's only been about a week since I made my last video, but my kids are out of school. School ended last Friday, was the last day for the year. And this week they are at a camp for 2 hours a day, a lacrosse clinic. So I thought I would take this quick opportunity to go ahead and film a video without trying to figure out having them around for it, not making noise, being in it or whatever. I'm not sure how that's gonna work out. So I just thought, here's a quick opportunity, let's make a video. I've got a really cloudy, rainy day today. So you might have noticed I'm in a different spot. This is actually my stitchy spot in my family room. And I've kind of strategically placed myself because if I lean over too much, you can see my normal spot where I video back there, and it is a wreck, people. It's bad. In the summer, one of the things I make my kids do is clean out everything. They have to clean out their basement playroom, their bedrooms, all of that stuff. We just get stuff they've outgrown, toys they don't play with, just stuff they've collected over the year and really don't want anymore. And we clean it all out and get rid of it. We donate, we throw it away, whatever it needs to be done, sell some of it, just get it out of the house. And one of the places I clean out is the art room, which is that room back there. It's technically our formal dining room, but we only use it as a dining room like twice a year when we have fancy holiday dinners. The rest of the year, it's our art room, we call it. So I've got two huge cabinets with all of the supplies for my kids' artwork. And then I have a huge walk-in closet that has all of my art stuff and all of my stuff for my volunteer work that I do. I have a lot of supplies for that stuff. So that has been this week's project, is to get that room cleaned out. So right now the table's just piled with stuff and there's piles that need to be donated and sold and all that. And I couldn't get it cleaned up to a point where I could film in there. And like I said, it's a rainy day today. That room does not get very good light in the mornings when it's a cloudy day. If it's a sunny day, it's fine. It's been fine for videoing in there. This room I'm sitting in, my family room, has 2-story windows in it. And I think the light is gonna be a lot better in here today. So I just thought I'll kind of clear the clutter from my stitchy area and try a video here. So we'll see how this goes. I don't love the background back there behind me very much, so I don't think I'll film here unless I absolutely have to, but it's a change of scenery for the day, right? So today I've got a couple of finishes to show you. I'll show you my usual whips, and then I want to show you my miniature stitching. So I showed you a little bit of miniature stitching I was doing on like 40 count and 36 count 1/1 in my last video on the shadow boxes and the printer's case, but I have some true miniature stitching that I want to show you. And I feel like I could probably go on and on about that stuff forever. So I'm going to show you all my other stuff first, and then I'll do that at the end because I do have to get out of here to pick my kids up. So I'm going to record everything else first, and then I'll talk about that at the end for as long as I have time. And then if I don't have time, I'll just make another video of it. So to get started first, I want to do my Flosstuber shout outs. I picked 4 this time. I love them all for different reasons. They're all spread out across the country, and one channel is even films across the pond. And they have different styles of stitching. Some of the, they stitch different types of patterns. They stitch different ways. Some are in Q-snaps, some in hoops, some in hand, all sorts of different things. And I think that's what I like about watching all of those channels, is because the variety. They don't always stitch things that I do. They don't stitch the same way I do, so I'm always learning things from watching them. And the common thread that they all have is that they're mother-daughter pairs that stitch. So it's probably people that you have heard of before. Some of them have been around a while and have hundreds of videos and been floss tubing for years. So the four are Priscilla and Chelsea from The Real Housewives of Cross Stitch, Pam and Steph from Just Keep Stitchin', Deb and Kef from Snug Harbor Crafts, and Stitchin' Annie and Ellis, which is Annie and Ellis. So those four, I love the mother-daughter dynamic. I have two daughters of my own, and I mean, right now my oldest isn't even 10 years old, but I look forward to the future, and I just so hope that I can have that shared love of cross stitch with at least one of my daughters. I just think it's such a great hobby, and you all know this community and how great everybody is on Flosstube and in stitching. They have the retreats, they have all of these online conversations, the Flosstube, you know, just so much support and love for each other. And I really would love to share that with my daughters. And those four pairs that I mentioned, the relationships that they have, the mother-daughter relationships that they have, they're so funny together, all of them. They're hilarious. You can tell they have such a close mother-daughter bond and friendship on top of that as well. And I just really, you know, when I have my daughters grown up adult children, I really hope that I can have that relationship with them, something similar. So those are my shout outs for today. I'm gonna skip over my previous finishes that I've been doing, where I show you like a throwback finish that I've done. I've got one of those in a little bit when we get to the miniature stitching stuff. So I'm gonna start off with my pile here. All right, so I showed you in my second video this little shadow box house, little house shaped, and it's got 12 little cubbies there. So I stitched a piece for that, and I was able to finish that this week. So let me get the whole thing in the screen here. Yep, there we go. So it's just 12 little motifs, and I stitched some of these from patterns that I had, and then some of them are from antique patterns that I found online. And this is stitched 1/1 on 40 count ivory linen. And the thread is Gutermann S303, which is a silk sewing thread. So I used one strand of that over one on the linen. So let me see if I can get in here, and I'll just kind of quickly show you each of the bands. This little wreath motif right here with my initials and the date is the last piece that I finished. So now I am ready to cut these out, and then I gotta figure out, am I using sticky board? Am I using foam core? Am I gonna put batting behind them? Am I not gonna put batting behind them? How am I gonna finish these things exactly so that they fit into the little house? So I don't know, but I'm gonna figure that out, and when I have it done, I will let you know what I did and show it to you. So my next one, I apologize. I did not take the time to clip. I had been clipping all these to paper or a board so that they would show up better and it wouldn't be like see-through and stuff. So like I said, limited time. So I did not do that today. I'm gonna throw them up here every which way. So this is Quakers in France Mystery Stitch Along from Tempting Tangles Designs. Okay, I finished part 9, which is the little village scene down here in the corner. So I've got that pretty much up to date. Let me see if I can come in closer and give you a little bit of detail. So I ended up doing the top tree. Let me switch to holding it in one hand. All right, I did this top tree here in French knots. I'm not sure if that's really showing up well. I wanted to give the landscaping a different texture than the buildings to help it stand out. So I did all of the like ground and bushes in between the houses just in half crosses. Is that staying in focus? I don't think it's focusing very well, sorry. And then this tree in French knots, this one I just used some, if I move it a little bit, you can see, in like long back stitches to give it like a pine needly evergreen sort of texture. So this was up to date until this morning. Part 10 was just released today. So part 10 goes right in here. So I will get that stitched up here in the next couple of days. And then it'll be back up to date again. Okay. Next one. Oops, I didn't get this one out of the bag. So give me 1 second to grab it. It's right here behind me. Still, I was working on it this morning and totally forgot to pull it out and get it off the hoop. So let me grab that. So this is, move my needle minder. Okay. This one is Sampler Rochette or Cat Sampler from Jardin Prive. And I'm doing the color changes to aquas and grays. So here we go. It is so close to a finish. I just have a tiny bit down in the corner there that needs to be done. So I've kind of made this a focus piece. I had switched to doing a 3-day rotation back in May. And so since I made my last video, I started doing 3 days on this and then 1 day on something else. And then I do 3 days back on this cat sampler again. I really want to get it finished so I can hang it up in my daughter's room. I'm gonna make another piece for my other daughter. And, oops, I've got that ordered, so that should be here soon. I've got to do some color changes and switch out some little motifs on it, but it should be here soon and then I can get started. So as soon as I have cat sampler done, I'll be able to start hers. And then I have a new start here. I have Little House Needleworks Autumn. So this piece, in my first video, I had talked a little bit about it. It comes with the skein of Classic Colorworks Belle Soie. And this color is Cinnamon Stick. And I just wasn't sure if that went with my house and went with what I had. But you guys, it comes with it. I have the fabric, it comes with the thread. Like, I had several people mention that, you know, I have like the wood furniture back there in my dining room. I have some of the darker woods and stuff like that in my house. So the cinnamon stick color might work. It might be fine. And I decided it took me 6 days to stitch up the summer sampler. So I'm just gonna go ahead, start autumn in the cinnamon stick. And if I do end up deciding that I don't like the cinnamon stick color in my house, I'll just pick another color and stitch it in that, right? Like, it's 6 days, it's fine. I can always redo it if I don't like it. So I find that the cinnamon stick, I think that maybe shows the color a little bit. It's hard to see the variegation in it. The cinnamon stick was not as variegated. I have summer right here. Summer is the Ocean Tide is the color of the thread for summer. And it's really, really variegated. You can see a big difference. But I feel like with cinnamon stick, I just don't see that much variegation. It's there, but it's not as obvious. So I guess it's fine. I don't know. We'll see. Once I start getting the house in there, the house is a lot more dense. Like, there's a lot of stitches all together, right? So I think I might see the variegation more once I get to the house. And sorry about all this thread bundled up here. That's just one of my stitching tips I learned from Gary Parr, who does the Fiber Talk podcast. So he said he always, to help like maximize his stitching time, when he is finishing putting something down, he always starts a new thread or leaves the thread that he's working on in the hole where the next stitch is going to be, so that when you sit down, you can just immediately pick up and you know right where to stick your needle in and just start stitching and go. You don't spend time looking at your pattern, deciding what to stitch or where to stitch or what color you're going to use or whatever. You're ready to go because your thread is there coming up out of the hole that you need to go down into, and you just pick it up and start to stitch. So I needed to start a new thread. So I did that one lone little stitch right there. And then is the part of the roof of the house. And then I left my thread sticking out of the next stitch right below it where I'm gonna pick up. So that is autumn. And I worked on that just for like a part of a day. I just wanted to get it started because I have it and I wanted to have it and just get it going. I have plenty of time to work on it and get it finished before the fall. So that'll be fine. Let me just review. That's, I think, all of my normal stitching stuff. So let me just check on that. Yep, so that is everything that I've kind of been working on lately. So now I want to show you my miniature stitching. Excuse me one second while I reach for this. So this is a little miniature caned rocking chair. Okay. Maybe if I get in front of it, it's kind of hard to see with all this background going on. And in it are sitting two little cushions, two little throw pillows that I stitched in miniature. So this chair goes in my miniature Victorian house. So it's a dollhouse. It's like collector's quality. It's not like to play with. It's not for kids to play with. Like my kids have their Barbie dream house and all their Barbie and dollhouse stuff down in the basement. I have my fancy collector dollhouse. It sits here in a cabinet in my family room. It's Victorian style and it's a 1/12 scale. So that means that 1 inch in the house is equivalent to 1 foot in real life. So if you think of like an 8x10 rug, an 8x10 foot rug in real life in my family room, in the dollhouse would be 8x10 inches. Okay, so I have a quick I tried to do a video tour of the house and it's too, like I can't video with the camera in my hand. It's way too shaky, guys. So I ended up just taking some photographs and putting them together in just a short slideshow for you. So I'm gonna insert that right here. Okay, so hopefully that worked and you just had a little video tour of the dollhouse. So you can see what I'm talking about. So that little rocking chair fits in there and the house it's mostly furnished, but it's not decorated yet. So there are tons of places. There's online shops, there's Etsy, there are dollhouse miniature shows that you can go to and you can buy these collector quality items for your house or you can make them yourself. So I have started doing some of the stitching to make products that would go in there. So Victorians were, they wanted all the things and they had all the things and they displayed all of the things in their houses. They were very cluttered and crowded because they just had everything and they had it all out and every surface was covered with stuff. So you could tell in the pictures, I haven't hung things on the walls yet. I haven't really collected a lot of accessories and done that. So that is the point that I'm at, which it's fun. When I have time or if I see something, I pick it up and I put it in the house. So I really want to make my own stitched things. So Victorians would have a ton of little throw pillows. I would like to stitch bedspreads and covers to go on the beds. Maybe some embroidery on the edge of some curtains and things. There are people out there who do stitch the rugs. But if you think about how many stitches that is, It's a lot. I'm not sure that I am ready to commit to stitching a full rug to go in the house. It would be amazing if I ever got around to that. I'm not sure my eyesight is up to it. So we'll see. So the type of stitching that you typically do for miniature is called petite point. If you think about, for us, say you were stitching on something on a 12 count fabric, 12 stitches per inch, that would be big, right? Like a lot of our stuff is stitched on 14 count Aida. That's a really common size, right? Or 28 count over 2, which is 14 count. So 14 stitches per inch. So let's just, for easy math, let's think about 12 stitches per inch. That would be in scale for real life. So to be in scale in the house, you'd have to stitch something on 144 count fabric. I can't see that. There might be some people out there with like super duper good eyes and high magnification that could see to stitch on that, but it's not gonna happen. So typically in dollhouse stuff, dollhouse stitching, you're looking at 40 count, 56 count, maybe 60 count. I think those are fairly common sizes. And you use silk gauze instead of the fabric. So you're doing full coverage pieces. So it's kind of a needlepoint situation where you've got to stitch both the motifs and the background in order to cover the silk gauze. And it's tough. I have to use the magnification. I started off with some kits that were 32 count, and I have tried some 40 count, and that's gone pretty well. So I'm still very much myself in the process of learning. And I would love to find some other Flosstubers who do this type of stitching, who stitch on silk gauze on the really tiny count, or who do stitching for dollhouse miniatures, anything. I've tried searching. Maybe I'm not using the right search terms. I have found some message boards where people post pictures of things and talk about it and you can get advice. But when I'm stitching, I like to watch Flosstube, and I would love to find some Flosstubers who do this. So if you know of any, please let me know in the comments. I would love to go and check them out. I just haven't been able to find any with the search terms that I'm using. So we'll see. Hopefully somebody's out there and I can find them. I did join the Miniature Needleworks Society International, and this is the newsletter, their most recent newsletter. They are a British-based organization, and it's full of people who do miniature stitching. So you can join as a, even though I'm in the US, it's an international organization, so everybody is welcome to check that out. And in here, in the newsletter, there are things like competitions that they have the results of it. Here is they're letting you know that Nicola Mascal has posted on her website, this is a free petite point pattern for a rug, or, I mean, how gorgeous would that be just to stitch it and frame it and hang it somewhere. So that's on her website. It's on dollhouseneedlepoint.com/free patterns. And they advertise different festivals that are going on. They have just pictures of different things. They have, they list suppliers of where you can purchase the supplies for doing some of this stuff. Here is some lace. They have different, like not just petit point, but other types of needlework. Gorgeous lace pieces. And then, here they are. This is what I was looking for. This is booklets that they sell. All of these different types of needlework are offered. This is instruction booklets for doing them in miniature. So bobbin lace, filet lace, macrame, needlepoint, smocking, tatting, crewel work, canvas work, assisi, black work. There's like 20 different types of things. So I do want to get some of these and try out some of these different techniques and see what I can make for my house. And even if if you're not making them to go into a house, I mean, there's still just it would be so beautiful to just display. So that's Miniature Needleworks Society. And I started off, the first thing that they sent, there it is. I was like, what do I do with my little rocking chair? When you join as a member to Miniature Needlework Society, they send you a pattern for a little pillow. So let's see if I can get this to focus fairly well. So this is actually stitched. I'll show you the back. It's just muslin. Like you go buy a yard of muslin at Joann's. And if you look at the muslin up close under a magnifier, you can see the larger holes make like a approximately 30 count grid. So you can stitch on that just like you would any other cross stitch. So they sent this little pattern and I finished the edges. Let's see if I can show the edge there. I can't even focus my own eyes on it, so I don't know how the camera is gonna do this. But basically you backstitch both the front of your pillow and the fabric for the back of it. You just backstitch an outline around it, and then you whip stitch up the edge to stitch it together. And there's tutorials online for that if you're interested. So this is filled with 1 millimeter glass beads. It gives more weight than if you just used polyfill. If you used poly, it would just be too lightweight to really like sit on something. The glass beads give it a little bit of weight, so it sits and looks like a pillow. It looks authentic. So that was the first one that I made. And then this is the second one. So I bought a kit from Janet Granger. I'll show you what I've made from that in just a minute. But I bought a kit from her, and it had the instructions for these tiny little tassels. Is that not the cutest little thing you've ever seen? Maybe if I hold it down here, you can see that adorable little tassel. So I put 2 little tassels on the top corners of this pillow. This is stitched on 40 count silk gauze. This was one of the first pieces I stitched on the silk gauze. And I found these patterns. It's from a French website. It's called Bien le Bonjour aux Brodeuses. I don't know how to say it, you guys. But she has a bunch of free patterns on there, tons of them. So these are about 50 stitches wide, and she has the positive and the negative version of them. So I stitched the positive and the negative front and back on the little pillow. It's a little bit wonky. You can see it's a little bit parallelogram rather than square. I didn't block it when I was done. I thought it'll be good enough. It's not good enough. You need, like, when it was done, I should have laid it out on the ironing board and ironed it and stretched it and pinned it down and let it dry until it was perfectly square. Then it would have come out better, I think. But you know what? For a first try, I think that's pretty darn good. Looks pretty cute. I filled it with this glass beads again and finished the edges the same way with the whip stitch around the back stitching, and then added the 2 little tassels. I am going to make 1,000 tassels, and I'm going to tassel everything in that dollhouse. I cannot wait to have a tassel hanging from every little doorknob and everything. It's just tassels are very Victorian, I think. And I'm really looking forward to getting my house to look a lot more Victorian by getting all of these little details and things in there. And then I had one more little thing stitching related from the house that I wanted to show you up close. So this is a little tiny box, and it's full of embroidery thread right there. Oh my goodness, I'm dropping it. A few different colors of embroidery floss. And if I'm going to show you more miniature stitching, I've got to figure out how to maybe do that inset camera thing, you know, where you end up with the little panel up in the corner and like you have a separate camera for that, because I think maybe that would help it focus better. But anyway, that's some of my finished miniature stitching things. Then I have this kit I bought. So this is from Janet Granger Designs, and it's a little miniature bolster pillow. So I have stitched, this is silk gauze. Again, this is 32 count silk gauze. I brought a little card here so I could, yep, that's better. Okay, 32 count silk gauze, and you can see, again, a little bit parallelogram. I have not finished this into the pillow yet because I need to go block it. I think it's gonna come out a lot better and straighter after blocking. So I need to block that, and then I can get it fully finished into that adorable little bolster pillow. Okay, this is a pattern I found in an antique pattern book, and it was finished into a bolster pillow. I think I'm just gonna finish it. I think I'm gonna do another side and maybe switch the green and the dark red colors for the other side so that it's the same pattern, but like reverse the colors up a little bit and stitch another side of it. And so this one of the will be the front and then the back of another pillow. So there's that one. And then this is something I tried out on 40 count linen, just to see how I liked stitching on the linen versus the silk gauze. I think the gauze is just it looks much more authentic and in the right scale for the house. So the swan, okay, so hold on. So the top is stitched in tent stitch or petite point with 1 strand of DMC. The bottom is stitched with the Gutermann silk thread full crosses, 1 strand full crosses. This is 1/1 on 40 count linen. And the swan I got from an antique pattern book. It was too large, like it had too many stitches, so I needed to scale it down. But I kind of did my best to keep true to the original antique pattern and just scale it down so it would fit. And then the back stitching is just from a alphabet pamphlet that I had that had a bunch of alphabets in it. So just a cute little sampler. I would like to frame it and hang it on the wall in my house if I can figure that out. But like I said, the threads on the linen are just so big in comparison to what they should be for the scale of the house. So it's not quite right. I really do need to use the silk gauze. So I would like to restitch this on silk gauze at some point. So I have one last thing here that I kind of forgotten that I had printed out that came this morning. So I've got one piece of haul to show you. This is the pattern for my older daughter that I need to make a few little changes to. So it is Jardin Prive Eiffel Quaker. And I got an email yesterday from Jardin Prive. It's their 10th anniversary. And so they have a 30% off sale right now on their website. And it is a good website to purchase from. It is in French, but you can use the Google Translate. And she sells pretty much every pattern as a paper pattern in both English and French, which you then would pay shipping to get, or you can get the PDFs like this in either English or French. So I can get the English PDF and it comes within 48 hours of ordering. It's awesome. So this is the pattern. On her website, somebody had stitched this in color. Right here, it's shown in 3 different shades of brown. Somebody had stitched it in color. So I'm gonna do kind of what I was doing with Cat Sampler, where I switch up the color scheme and kind of use that one as an example for which motif should be which color. And then my daughter, like this acorn right here, my daughter really loves pineapples. So I'm gonna switch that acorn out for a pineapple. These 2 little keys that are crossed right here, she loves the cross. So she asked me to make them lacrosse sticks. So I've got to figure out how to chart up those 2 little keys and make them work as lacrosse sticks. And she really loves cats as well. So I want to take one of the cats from the Cat Sampler and fit that somewhere in here. And maybe like one of the mice. There's a ton of little butterflies. So I think maybe I can change out a mouse for that. And just, some little things, to make it more her and her likes and personality and personalize it for her. So I'm going to work on that. That's coming up soon. I want to get the Cat Sampler finished so I can start this Eiffel Tower sampler for her. So real quick, let me just check back that I talked about everything. I think I did. I think I covered all of the, if you have questions about the miniature house and stitching for it, please let me know. I really don't know that much about it myself. I'm just started really doing the petite point stitching myself this year. So I've got a lot to learn about it and figure out about it. So I'm doing my best with the information that's out there, trying to figure out what to do. My plans, like I said, finish that cat sampler, start the Eiffel sampler, Eiffel Quaker, and then do you guys have this problem? When I have downtime, I just want to stitch. I have got a pile of stuff that I need to FFO. I've got that summer house, I've got that shadow box that's in the house shape, that stitching's done, I've got that bolster pillow that needs to be finished. I don't want to finish any of that stuff. I just want to keep stitching more stuff. So I think there's something about some question like, are you a product stitcher or a process stitcher? And I would have said I was a product stitcher because I was like focused on stitching to get stuff done to decorate my house. But now that I have some finishes, they're just sitting there. They're not FFO'd. So I guess I'm a process stitcher because when I have a few minutes and I have downtime or I have a whole day, I just want to sit there and stitch. I don't want to do the FFOing. So I do need to take a day. I think most of what I need to FFO stuff, there might be some little like embellishments that I need to purchase still, but I need to just sit down and work on what I have so I can see if there is stuff I need to go out and buy. So one of these days, soon, I'm gonna get that stuff FFO'd. I need to prepare for Jolly July. So I've placed a couple of orders this week. I'm gonna do kind of my own version of Jolly July. Jolly July is I guess like a stitch along hashtag from Fat Quarter Shop, Kimberly, and Priscilla and Chelsea at Real Housewives of Cross Stitch. And they are each doing 31 ornaments in July, or I guess starting some finishes as well. I have probably not 31, but close to it. They're not necessarily going to be ornaments, but going to be motifs. So my next video, I think, will be once I get all of that stuff that I purchased here, I'll get it all sorted out and I'll do a video of my plans for Jolly July and what I'm doing so that you can see, because I have a lot of Christmas stuff I want to get finished for Christmas. It's definitely my favorite holiday season type of stitching to do, Christmas. So I have quite a few Christmas plans and I really want to get them all done. So I think that cat sampler is going to be done in the next few days. As soon as that Christmas stuff shows up, I might start some Jolly June. I might not wait, might cheat a little and get ahead because I really want to get that stuff done for Christmas so I could use the extra couple of weeks, I think, in June to get started on it and get it going. And plus, I've had a lot of finishes lately, so I don't have a whole lot of whips going on right now. I don't need that autumn sampler anytime soon. It can, and it's probably got 5 or 6 days worth of work left on it, so I can easily get that done before fall. And I want to start working on that Eiffel sampler for my daughter, but I've got to get the changes charted up and made to it and figure that all out. So I'm not really ready to sit down and start stitching it yet. It needs a little work before I do that. So I'm ready to stitch Christmas, people. That's what it is. I like Christmas. Stitch what you want when you want, right? So I think I'm gonna get started on that. So hopefully I'll be back in the next week or two with a video that is all about Jolly July. I hope you enjoyed what I showed you today, and I hope I remembered to say everything. I feel a little rushed, but it is what it is, right? So have a great week, and I will see you back again soon.